Hi guys, the episode that you're just about to listen to is generously sponsored by our affiliates Board Game Crate. Board Game Crate provide a monthly subscription service where they get fresh new games delivered straight to your door. Just head over to www.boardgamecrate.co.uk, and furthermore, if you use our discount code UnluckyFrogIsAwesome, all lowercase, all one word, you'll get a cheeky little discount. It's easy to remember because it's true.
Hello and welcome to the very first Unlucky Frog Gaming Roundtable review.
Woo!
So we're going to be trying something a little bit different with our reviews going forward. We will still, of course, be doing some written reviews that will go up on the blog. But what we want to do, because gaming is such a subjective thing, and games themselves, by extension, are so subjective, we want to give you as much opinion as we possibly can.
Our opinions often differ.
Yes.
They do, which is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, we're going to be doing some roundtable reviews.
Yep.
Going forward.
What are we going to start with?
So tonight we are going to be reviewing 1066 Tears to Many Mothers from All or Nothing Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, of course, an asymmetrical card game that chronicles the events leading up to and of the Battle of Hastings.
So, just for a bit of context, obviously being English, like everyone does the Battle of Hastings at some point in history. But is it part of the Scottish curriculum?
It is not.
No.
Okay,
But that's somebody
fair.
got an arrow in the eye, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, I think
a little more to it than that, but yeah.
Like everyone knows of William the Conqueror, but it's
William
not,
the Bastard.
Yeah, as he was known before, a life-changing event. But it's not something that you cover like as a topic or as like part of the syllabus. Certainly when I was at school. And this stands to reason that you learn about it in England, right? Because
it's the birth of our nation.
English history.
So to contrast that, the things that we learn about are the Vikings, Mary Queen of Scots,
The
clearances, Jacobite rebellion. It is all Scottish history.
Yeah,
because the Vikings, maybe a little bit more so than English history, are actually a huge part of the Scottish history, because good portion of Scotland
we're Vikings.
are Vikings. It's where a lot of them settled, because I think they were driven out of most of England, weren't they?
Eventually, yeah. To be fair, they were a lot more prevalent in like the northern counties,
yeah.
Particularly like the northeast of England and York,
which coincidentally would have been part of Scotland.
That's true, yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
What do you think? I learnt about the Battle of Hastings from Horrible Histories.
That's
where I learnt most of my history from. To be honest,
that's probably a
those
decent
things.
education.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were really good.
Yeah.
But they were able to break down history in a way that made it comprehensible but fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is how education for kids should be.
And I like the fact they left in the gory bits.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do some horrible history reviews.
Yep.
Today is not that day.
Yes.
So we should probably introduce ourselves for anyone that's maybe joining us for the first time very quickly before we actually dive into the review.
Should have actually done that.
So I'm Ben Porter, and joining me this evening we have Charlotte Porter.
Hello.
And Mr. Josh Hartley.
Hello.
So we will be guiding you through this experience.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we do have a bit of a formula at Unlucky Frog that we use for our reviews, and we are going to follow that. but we're going to do it democratically.
And verbally.
And verbally.
If it's democratic, does that mean the person with the most money wins? Social commentary. Whoa!
yeah. It's pretty dark. Don't really want to go down that rabbit hole tonight. So, we've described the game. We've introduced ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we start with the presentation, which is in our reviews where we talk about the physical product.
Yeah, this isn't just the artwork, although obviously it covers that, but this is the materials, the box,
cardstock, things like that.
So, shall I start? Shall I jump in?
Sure.
I'm very impressed with this. The artwork is absolutely on point for the tone that I think All and Nothing are going for. It is stylized but not cartoonish, which I think would have possibly could have worked, but I don't think they wanted to go for something humorous. This is
it's more like sort of drab, earthy colours, which really evokes.
And it all it's if you've ever seen or played Gloom of Kilforth, it's similar to that. Obviously, a lot less fantasy and stylized, but an almost photorealistic qualities to some of the character art as well, but without losing any character as well, which is a very difficult line to walk.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The cardstock feels nice. It's not it's not absolutely top of the range. I think it's fair to say. But
that being said, that there's a lot of games recently that do have that linen texture.
Mm-hmm.
They've got that horrible bow in them.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not a problem that this game has.
No, exactly. I don't think these cards are going to bend anytime soon.
No.
They feel good in your hand, nice and glossy. I think the only area of criticism that I have, and I say this knowing that I'm being pedantic by saying it.
It's a review, you're allowed to be pedantic.
Okay, I will. The size of the box.
Well, this is what I was going to say. You've got the Fantasy Flight trench.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
And I understand why they do it. It's to get more shelf space, so it stands out more when you're going into your game shop and having a browse. But there is a lot of dead space in that box.
There is, and it does also mean. I mean, as I said there, you've got the cardboard trench in there, so it does mean that everything's not rattling about that box.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same, and you know they do give you bags and all that, so it means that. It's not going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear you on that one. I think I would prefer something a bit more compact. Because as far as like the publishers and the retailers are concerned, things that scream for your attention, that's good, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get to the other end, when you're the consumer, shelf space is coming at a premium, particularly if you are like a hobby gamer, when you do own quite a lot of games.
I'll be honest, dude. I'd just be putting it in deck boxes. I think the box almost goes out at that point.
Yeah.
And just keep the rules for reference elsewhere. But no, overall for me, really impressed with the presentation of this game.
The only thing that I would say, and it's not necessarily criticism, it was just something that I was aware of, is I know when they did the Kickstarter, there was a pledge where you could appear in it.
Yes.
Now, I have felt that the artwork for those cards is slightly different. I don't know if that's intentional, so that you know that those cards are the ones that the characters are on.
Yeah.
I think if I was one of those people, sorry Tristan, I wasn't one of those people, but if I was one of those people, I think I would prefer that.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's me.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it's one of these things where when you're on the developer end of that kind of offer, you do have to sort of compromise a bit because, and I need to watch what I'm saying here, but they're not always the most photogenic people. and the other problem that you have is that you don't always have the highest quality of photograph, do you? So it means that, you know, sometimes the artists they need to work with what they've got.
Well, I wasn't complaining about the art. I was meaning just that it's a different style from the rest of the box.
I think you can tell which ones.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think so.
I think
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're both fine.
There's also the thing of I think that generally speaking, just of where they fall in the development, those kind of pledges, they tend to be done afterwards. So I think a lot of the time it's a bit of a rush just to get them done.
Maybe a different artist.
Yeah, because a lot of the time all the other cards have been done. They've been shown in the Kickstarter, and it's one of those things where you're like, oh crap, I've got that to do. So I think, you know, they're giving themselves more to do, but obviously it must work because a lot of companies put people in the game as a high level pledge, don't they? Things like that. So
pretty sure All or Nothing do it for almost all of their Kickstarters,
I think so. As far as presentation goes, I felt like you get the tokens to indicate bonuses to Zeal and Might.
Oh yeah.
They feel a wee bit surplus to requirement, I think. Maybe.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about them being in there. I know what you mean, though. It's a nice to have, but I don't think the game is gaining anything from having them. One last component which we haven't talked about, which I thought are quite nice as well, are the little wooden tiers.
I like them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could actually picture like using them as markers just in completely different games, but because they feel nice.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact you've got two different colours there as well, so there's no confusion. It's a really elegant way of keeping track of pretty much everything, because we used them as damage counters as well for the characters and units, not just for the wedges. But
no, like I say, I think overall, are we in agreement that the presentation is great?
Yeah,
I think it's very good.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on to theme. And so, to get rid of any confusion here, for us, presentation is physical product, whereas theme is, as it would suggest, the actual setting within the game. What is the game representing? What sort of story is it telling? That sort of thing. So, obviously, the theme here is the Battle of Hastings. It's the Dark Ages. So, how do we feel that the theme was implemented? How successfully was it implemented?
We were talking about this before we started recording. And the degree to which the game is asymmetrical. I think we agree that the Normans have a bit of an advantage,
which I think is only accurate, right?
Exactly right. But and you've played the Saxons for every game that we've played, Ben. But it doesn't seem like you're completely out of reach of winning.
No,
would you agree?
No, I would say so, and I think we can dive into that a little bit more
for like game mechanic
when we're talking about game mechanic. But I think as far as like representing the Battle of Hastings, insofar as the story goes, it's good.
The bit that I really liked was the little facts that they give you.
Yeah.
On the cards. I loved that. I love pulling a character and being like, oh, so this is Bishop blah blah blah.
And again, like we were saying earlier, because you don't really study 1066 in school in Scotland, it was actually quite an education.
Yeah.
For me, reading a lot of it.
It's the backstabbery that I love.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then ooh.
Everyone was a dick in the Middle Ages.
Yes,
right?
They were.
One of the favourite cards I played was Archbishop of York, who just kept flip flopping,
kept changing sides.
Yeah, just like, all right, you're winning now.
It's like Captain Pugwash, just like changing hats and stuff. Yeah.
So I think it achieves its evoking its theme very well. Yeah, the flavour on all of the cards is great. A nice little touch that they didn't need to do, but it really helps.
Yeah.
I feel as well that what the units and characters do quite accurately represents social standing. The one I'm thinking off the top of my head. Most of the spearmen units damage cavalry.
Yeah. which is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Ranged units can target things far away from them as well, which is really neat. The Saxons have got a battle axeman unit, which are basically berserkers. You deal damage to them and they deal damage to something else.
Aye.
I think there's a couple of assassins as well.
Yeah.
Where they're quite expensive to play.
But they just like wipe something off the table.
So it feels very much like a military campaign and a battle thereafter. The artwork obviously aids all of that really nicely. I think as far as theme goes, the only thing, and I'm being pedantic again, is the wedges, which is the columns in the game, are just wedge 1, 2 and 3. I think it would be quite nice if it was like centre and flanks.
Alright, yeah.
But that's just me being pedantic.
It's a very small thing.
Yeah, because I don't really feel like the wedges need to be numbered, because you're keeping track of them all there anyway.
Yeah, fair.
Because you don't have like battle axemen 1, 2 and 3. You know that they're different because you can see them there anyway.
Yeah.
Just like I said, being very, very pedantic with that.
Yeah, if we're being hypercritical, but again, I think we're all in agreement that the implementation of the theme was very well done.
Really well done.
Absolutely. And so naturally that brings us on to the gameplay, which you were already...
Yeah, jumping the gun.
Yeah.
It's not often that we say the game feels imbalanced, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it is a good thing, because that's what the Battle of Hastings was. The Normans were the clear favourites.
Yeah.
And they won. But it's a really fine line to tread. I've used that twice now in this review, but whatever. It's a really fine line of having an asymmetric, unbalanced game, but also making it fun for both players as well.
Because the thing that we were saying, just because we played the game just before we recorded again, and we'd said that everyone talks about balance in terms of how it's going to be fair for the underdog, forgetting that actually a badly imbalanced game is boring for the person who has the upper hand.
Yeah.
I think the way that the Normans have the advantage as well is very nicely done.
Yeah.
Basically, as you're achieving your objectives, the Saxons early on in the game have to destroy their own units.
Yeah.
Whereas that does happen to the Normans, but right towards the end, just before you get to the Battle of Hastings.
So it does mean that you sort of stumble to get things set up as the Saxon player, and the Normans basically march straight in with the financial backing of the Pope. So you've got that really nice implementation of the reality of the situation with the game mechanics. I think it's probably worth saying that I think a lot of people might approach this game expecting it to be like a historical war game, and it's still very much a card game.
I would say so. This feels more like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon than it does, say, something like Twilight Struggle.
Absolutely. And I think part and parcel with that, you have the strengths and weaknesses of card games. They're still there. Like, you can still have a hand where like, there's nothing I can do with this. And you're basically trying to draw cards until there's something that you can pull off. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
And that's the nature of the beast, like you say, with card games. I love card games, so I have no problem with that whatsoever. Just sometimes luck is not on your side, just make peace with it.
And the counter argument as well, and like I say this very often about people who complain about randomness in games, is that good players can plan for appalling luck. And I think I spoke to you the other day. There was an article I read recently about one of the best Age of Sigmar players in the world, and one of his friends commented, because this guy has just won 2 tournaments back to back without losing a single game.
It's quite a feat.
So he's won 10 games against some of the best players in the world. And the thing that his friends said about him is that he plans to fail.
Yeah.
He always has a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. He doesn't go all in banking on one thing working for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's I do think that the best games have an element of randomness because it's reflective of life.
Yeah.
There are things out with your control. It's not necessarily someone's rolling a dice to see what happens to you, but we are only partially in control of what happens to us, and a lot of the time we can only really control how we respond to things.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a bit philosophical here, but
I know this is getting deep.
But it's why I think that the best games do have an element of randomness.
Yeah, I would agree. Just another thing to point out about gameplay, the game's pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah.
Nothing overtly complicated. Certainly, if you've played any of those trading card games that we just mentioned, you will have no issue with getting your head around the rules for this game.
Very comprehensible. You've got the little prompt cards as well for once you've been through the rule book, you can just fly by them.
Yep. The game plays very quickly as well, and that's and not to say that the game is short. By that I mean it's very quick back and forth between the players.
It's paced nicely because you've got the quests, haven't you, leading up to the Battle of Hastings, and then you have this really violent clash at the end, because by the time you get to the Battle of Hastings, if you get to the Battle of Hastings,
because that's happened a couple of times where one of our guys have died.
If you get to the Battle of Hastings, you do have this really nice sort of tug-of-war type thing where you're basically trying to collapse the other player's wedge or column. So it never feels like a slog.
Yeah.
Which I think some card games sometimes do.
Yeah. So again, nothing but good things to say. I'm trying to think of a criticism of the gameplay, and I'm struggling.
I would say I think the way it presents itself, it's maybe in danger sometimes of misselling itself, because I think that people maybe see it and they would see the asymmetrical tag, expecting it to be more like a war game than it perhaps is. I don't know if it necessarily belongs with some of the descriptors that it's been given. That's probably
more indicative of the theme than how the game actually plays.
Possibly, but I do feel that the asymmetry only really comes from the quest cards, because like we were saying, the Saxons start off with the might quests that require you to destroy units at the end, and then finish off the game with the zeal quests, whereas it's the other way around for the Norman player. But other than that, the decks are fairly similar. You've got roughly the same number of cards that can heal units, and you get roughly the same number of cards that do ranged attacks and all that sort of thing. So I think that asymmetrical tag again might lead to a bit of confusion, because I think people would possibly go into expecting those decks and the way they function to be a bit more different than they are.
But it doesn't make it a bad game by any means.
No, absolutely not. But I feel that certainly there were things that surprised me a wee bit. I think I expected the Normans, with the financial backing of the Pope, to rely a bit more on like superior technology and resources, and for the Saxons to be a bit more sort of traditional fighting men. They maybe have the edge in close combat, but the Normans have got the money and the numbers, that sort of thing. Starks versus Lannisters, basically.
You're suggesting Game of Thrones might be based loosely on history.
I wonder.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think I most admire about this game is the way that Tristan has integrated, to use a really crude analogy again, the Fantasy Flight quest system.
Yeah.
Where you've got a stack of cards, and you do whatever it is you need to do to get your pips on them, then you advance to the next one.
So like you said, the likes of Lord of the Rings,
Arkham Horror,
Arkham Horror.
But scaled up to a military campaign rather than frolicking arseholes frolicking through the
Three arseholes in the wood, I think.
Was it? Okay.
So look out on Kickstarter for Unlucky Frog's first game, Three Arseholes in a Wood.
Yeah. Poetry.
Yeah.
So that brings us finally to our verdict. So this is the part of the review where we really sum up our overall sentiments on the game. And Charlotte, would you like to start us off?
I liked it.
Wow.
That's all I need to say.
Concise and to the point.
I will be honest and said I wasn't sure how much I would like it, and I was quite surprised at how much I did enjoy it. Military
history is not really your bag.
No, but I like history. But the thing that I am, and I'd said this, the thing I am quite excited about is the sort of potential for the other game that
1565 St Elmo's Pay.
It's the Siege of Malta.
Yes,
I am very excited for that.
Yeah,
I love the fact that that game the mechanics are almost identical. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to pitting the Ottoman Empire against some hapless Saxons. Just seeing how that plays out.
But I think that this is one of those games where I liked it, but I'm really excited